All right, now it is our time to go into the interview segment. As I had mentioned earlier, today we are talking about property investment, and I'm joined by Mark Pearson from Pearson and CABOT. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. So let's just start at the basics. How long has this company been in existence and what are you known for?
Yeah, so as a group, we've been around for 7 years. We've been in Kenya now for full-time since the start of the year, this year. Our specialism is helping global investors invest into UK property. So we do working through due diligence as a starting point, protecting or making the investment as safe as possible, finding the procedures, so mortgages and bank accounts for international clients, and obviously picking the places that give us the highest returns.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've just come out of a pandemic, and I'm sure that has affected this as it has affected everything.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So the pandemic was actually, it increased UK property prices, primarily because when there's uncertainty in global markets, people look for what are considered the safer investment options. And UK property, the pound currency, has always been considered as on the safer end of the spectrum. So in actual fact, we posted some of the best months, in tens of years in the UK overall. And as a company, we also increased dramatically in terms of our revenues and transactions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that a lot of people, especially coming from this country, our currency is a little bit lower. So what is the rate of return on investment if somebody invested in property abroad and in the UK specifically?
Sure. So from within pound, you'd be looking at double figure return on investment. So you can be looking at 12-14% reasonably consistently. And that's based on the pound. If the pound's also consistent, then it also can help you. You know, if there's inconsistency in the shilling, as an example, you've got a consistent currency, but also then a reasonably consistent return as well. So we're actually finding that a lot of our clients had been, because the currency was losing position, a lot of our clients were getting a lower rate of return than they perceived they had once they started translating it to dollar or pound, which is part of the reason why we're seeing an increase in Kenyan clients coming across to us. Okay.
So now, how conducive is it in terms of regulatory framework, the laws and the policies there?
Yeah, exactly. It's the most important point. So the UK has been considered, consistently voted #1 in the global transparency for real estate. So that you can check those stats online, and that's because it's highly regulated. All transactions, there's obviously property regulation as it is, but then every transaction goes through a lawyer. The lawyers are regulated, so they're regulated by the government, but they're also insured. So when you, if there was any errors, your money's insured by the solicitors, the lawyers. So what that means is there's lots and lots of touch points to when you purchase a property in the UK to make sure that you're protected, and through government, insurance and company regulations, and multiple companies unconnected with each other, checking up on the work that we do.
Mm-hmm. So are you working with any local companies? Are you partnering with any local investment properties?
No, so our focus is primarily on the UK. Mm-hmm. So we've got to specialise in what we're good at. You know, the UK market works in many ways in terms of the regulation that you referenced there, in terms of the returns. Mortgage rates are very, very low. You know, for a Kenyan, you can get a mortgage at 3-4%. All of the deeds being in your name. So, you know, obviously it's even more protected than a lot of lending out here. And so what it does is it's a good market for us for global investors. So it's also where most of the company's been trained as well. So that's where we specialise. We're investing in Kenya in the regard that we're investing in people. And we have the new office here, and we're training and investing in our people here, and obviously building out our East African office in Nairobi.
Mm-hmm. I like that you mentioned mortgage, because in Kenya there's affording housing concept that is also supported by the government. So is Pearson and CABOT targeting UK investors who are seeking property investments in this country?
No, we only focus on property investments in the UK.
Okay. All right. So what makes you different? What makes Pearson and CABOT different?
Well, what we're offering is a different opportunity for investors. Our normal investor has, we're seeing investors change in Kenya, actually. It's not just sort of very, very wealthy. We're seeing this growing middle class they're starting to invest. Our client base tends to be someone who's already invested in Kenya, probably has some equities and bonds and what have you, and they're just looking for an alternative to de-risk their portfolio. So they might be looking at the US, they might be looking at the UK. We offer the UK option. It's highly, we've gone through a huge amount of due diligence on every project. We go through massive, massive amounts of due diligence on everything for months in advance. We have, as far as I know, we're the only people that have a full process in terms of partnered with Kenyan lenders, also the UK lenders, to be able to offer Kenyans a full streamlined process. We manage the property at the end of the process. So we have we have to get you the right property because we're going to be working with you for 10, 20 years afterwards, and we hope that you'll refer us or buy more properties from us. So really we're a 360-degree process. From start to finish, and I think that's what makes us unique. And obviously within Kenya, being UK property, it gives us a slight unique element to it as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's now focus on the process. You mentioned the process a lot. What would the process look like?
Yeah, so if you come to us, our first job as a company, we don't just try and sell a property straight away. We have to first of all go through an education process with a client. So our first 1-2 calls or Zoom meetings we tend to do, if you're not coming into the office, tend to be really about the overview of the UK, what real costs are involved, not just the headline property price, but what other costs are involved in it, how easy it is, so we go through all that process. Then we look at the details, your actual mortgage rate. So, we'll do a mortgage check for you, which lenders are going to lend to you specifically at what rate. We put that in a cash flow so that you can see exactly your returns with all of the additional costs that may come in, including taxes and all that sort of thing. And then after that, you make a decision. If you decide to go ahead, we start the legal process. The lawyers will look at all of the work we've done. That'll take 4 to 6 weeks. And then after that, if you're comfortable with the work that the lawyers have done and the work that we've done, you make your investment.
So generally between 4 and 6 weeks?
Yeah, we try and do in 4 weeks, but it depends. The lawyers are not under our control. So as much as we encourage them to work within a shorter time frame, it takes them as long as it takes them to do all the due diligence for the client. As I say, they're regulated separately and they're insured, so they can't make mistakes either. Otherwise, it comes back to them. So again, they have to do their own independent work for the client. So that can take anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So finally, do you have any future plans in property investment, in the property investment market in Kenya?
Do you mean investing in the country?
Yes.
Look, we're not adverse to anything. It's really based on the factors of, we look at certain factors: security of investment, supply and demand, affordability of the market. These are really important factors for us. Lending, I know in Kenya, I think you're trying to push the mortgage market a little bit more, and the government's, as you mentioned, trying to support that a little bit more. I think we'd always look at markets, but what I would say is we want to be good at what we do, and we're a specialist in UK property investments, and we have to be careful that we ensure that we do the things that we're very, very good at and not try and spread ourselves out into things that we don't necessarily know as much about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is my catch line from your website: confidence through clarity. And I like that you say specialist. You want to specialize in giving people clarity.
Yes.
On how to be able to invest abroad.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right. We have been speaking to Mark Pearson, who is the founder of Pearson and CABOT, and we've been talking about property investment.